Everybody, we're gonna try this again. Welcome to Conversations in Rhythm. I am your host. I'm gonna be interviewing my professor from North Carolina Central University, Mr. Thomas Taylor. It's about to be incredible. Mr. Taylor, how you doing, sir?
What's going on?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, this is my former professor at North Carolina Central University while I was a grad student. He's an incredible educator, incredible mentor, but most of all, an incredible musician. People who live in North Carolina, you know, Thomas Taylor gets busy on the drums. And, sir, it's an honor to talk to you tonight. I appreciate you being a part of this podcast thing that I'm putting together. I'm really excited to talk with you.
I appreciate that, man. If I could just figure out, technology doesn't always want to cooperate. And I don't know if you can see me.
Yeah.
But
I see the art that you showed me in the background. We good.
So it's still saying to go live and or decline. So I'm not sure what's up with that. But if you feel like we're good, we're good. So
yeah. We're in.
I don't need to see me. I know how bad I look.
I dig, man. I dig. Well, I appreciate you being a part of this. We've gotten a chance to have some incredible conversations in person, and to be able to share this with the world is truly an honor because once you put it up on the internet, like it's up there. Oh. And well, see, you've been such a blessing to my life over the years, with the valuable wisdom and insight, you have about drums and timbre and time and the space in between the notes and swing, you know what I mean? And even, I would even go as far as to say the things we talked about concerning like Black American music history, So just to kind of break the ice and get things started, how long have you been playing drums? And the follow-up question to that is, what was the first rhythm or groove that you learned and, like really unlocked creativity for you on the kit?
Man, okay, so the first one is way too long to sound this bad.
Y'all, that's humility, everybody. That's yeah.
Way too long, Yeah, it's been a minute. Yeah, I would say, since I was maybe 3 or 4, but I got real drums. I distinctly remember for my 10th birthday. So wow. I remember that my father was like, "If you tear these up, you're not getting any more." So
that's good. Yeah. It made you treat the drums right.
But, before that, I had all the paper drums, and I don't even think they make those anymore, but you used to get toy drums, and those toy drums used to have a drum head on it, but it was really, really thin. And, those heads, if you played and beat on them like Animal, and I was a disciple of Animal, I would have to give him props as my first drumming hero, because Animal went for it. He went in.
Yeah, he was going up against Buddy Rich, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So, it was like he was the man at the time. So, it was like I'm a little teeny one, I'm a tyke, like 2, 3, or 4 years old going after Animal, So you get drums. And before then, of course, I'm, beating on pots and pans and shoe boxes and suitcases and all that stuff. But to have the drum with like sticks and, it's like maybe it lasted a week, maybe a couple days. I don't know, Okay. And then got another one, and it was a nicer one, and then got another one. And then, by the time I was, it may have been 7. It may have been 7 when I got that drum set. But I remember my father was like, "You tear this one up, you won't get another one." I'm pretty sure it was 7, and that was a real drum set. Like, I mean, it was like, it had real, like, tunable heads and changeable heads, and It was like a quote unquote, you know, what I thought at the time was a professional drum set. And then, and I kept that one 11 years until I was, well, actually I kept it longer than that. I kept it until I was in my mid-20s.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what,
you know,
what brand was that, just out of curiosity? My first one was like a Percussion Plus.
Oh man. So this was a copy of a Slingerland drum set, and it had no name on it, like nothing. Yeah. There was no markings that said what kind of drum set it was. There was no badge. Yeah. No holes where it used to be a badge. None of that. It was just blue sparkle. Yeah. That was it.
That's awesome, man.
So,
that's
I cool. Found out, like, my high school band director was a family friend. He's a great drummer in this area named Dave Albert. And because he was a family friend, like, literally he knew me when I was little, right? Because he was the same age as my oldest sister. So he helped my father get that drum set. Wow. And he told me that the name of the drums was Sorrento. So if you think about the Kia car, that's a Sorrento. Yeah. It was a Sorrento. And I was like, I never heard of that before. And he was like, you never will, you know, but that was the kit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And was it a 4-piece? Was it a 5-piece?
Oh yeah, it was a 5-piece. Yeah. So 22 bass drum, 12, 13, 16, you know, that was the standard issue from probably like the mid to late 60s to to like 2005 or something, when they started, you know, kind of changing. But even now, you go and you'll see those, you know, if you get a 22-inch bass drum, you know, one of the first options is 12, 13, 16.
Exactly. Then the Fusion, if you want to be hip. You're right. You're right.
And the Fusion ones, you know, that happened in maybe the late 80s, early 90s, where you started seeing like 10, 12, 14. But before that, it was like you just added a 10 to the 12 and the 13. And if you were nice, you added a 14 to the, you know, to the 16.
Yeah.
Right. You know, so that was kind of it.
Killing.
So, yeah.
Well, so what was that? What was that groove that you learned, or maybe it was a rudiment? Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like what? Yeah. What was that thing?
Well, you know, growing up playing in the church, you better have some kind of pocket, you know, which was boom, chat, boom, chat, boom, chat, boom, chat, boom, chat. That's it. You know, that was the thing for a long time. And I remember I used to play in a gospel quartet when I was maybe 13, you know, and it was like older men, you know, they was in their like 30s and 40s and 50s, you know, and that somebody would have to drive me to the rehearsals and to all the, you know, the gigs and stuff, or they didn't call them gigs back then. Right. I don't, you know, the services that we performed at, whatever that was, you know, but, man, I really want to see who's joining, so I don't know how to get that going. So
it's a lot of cool people. Let me read them all to you. It's let's see here. From the top, we got Christian Miller. We got Johnny. Let me see here. Stephen Edmonds.
Oh,
Tommy Jackson drum.
Yeah, man, Stephen Evans, man, he was one of my drum students in Greensboro from years ago, man.
Wow.
That dude was bad. I tried to get him to come to North Carolina Central, but couldn't convince him, you know. But it's all good. He's, great drummer, great musician. But anyway, I'll let it go and just enjoy seeing you, you know. And that's the part that's beautiful. So, you know, if you see some name pop up that you recognize, please give them a shout out. I definitely want to spread love to everybody.
Yes, sir. Well, shout out to everybody checking out the broadcast. I see some people that I do know. And yeah, you know, guys, we are a part. I remember my professor at A&T, he said something to me. He said, you're a part. He said, never forget that you're a part of an elite fraternity, which is being a jazz musician. But because his father was a jazz drummer, he told me, he said, but also, you're a jazz drummer. And he's like, that in and of itself. He's like, stop and think about all the people on the planet. Like, you're a jazz drummer. He's like, there's something special about that. And he was like, you really gotta like check that out. And I would go even further to say that the people that are tuned in, we're a part of an even more elite fraternity because we've all studied with Mr. Taylor.
Wow.
Yeah, man, for real. Because like one of the things I was telling some people the other day is like, you know, you're a pillar in our community. When we talk about like North Carolina jazz,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about North Carolina jazz pedagogy, like you've been holding it down, like for real. And that's something that I know as I've gotten older and I started my continuum project where I started checking out like all these different homegrown heroes, people like Danny Richmond, who's from Greensboro,
Right.
who went to A&T, who went to Dudley High School, like right around the corner from my parents' house. Like he, you know what I'm saying, Charles Mingus, you got Nina Simone, John Coltrane, Max Roach, Dr. Billy Taylor,
Yep.
like Tal Farlow's from Greensboro. There are so many incredible icons. And it's awesome to talk to you because you're in that lineage. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
And to be able to pick your brain is truly a wonder. And I know everybody that's watching, you know, they would agree with that as well.
Yeah.
So I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Because the way that you articulated that quartet rhythm was really interesting. Yeah, because you know everybody gives the timbre of different things is slightly different, right? Like they call that rhythm you were singing the boom chick rhythm, right? From the marching band and the cymbal, like the bass drum and the cymbal. But you were saying boom chat because you were combining the crack of the snare with the hi-hat. Right. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, man, I'm editing my statement here. Part of it is the hand clap.
Come on, yeah.
Right? Part of it is the hand clap, but part of it is the foot stomp and all the other body parts that makes the foot stomp. That's the best way I can put that.
Yeah. Yeah, I did what you're saying because when you get that congregational foot stomping and clapping, it's really a bunch of flams. Like if you think about it.
Well, it is until everybody is on one accord.
Gets in sync. Yeah. But even that's considered a flam, right? They call those what, pop flams or double stops in marching band, right?
Sure, yeah. But
it's
I think about it, and I don't necessarily, when I'm watching, you know, people at a church clapping or, you know, I'm listening less and I'm watching more because there is time in the motion.
Come on.
You notice?
Yeah.
So it ain't just, you know, boom, cat, boom, cat, boom. That's got one groove. But if you go, boom, cat, boom,
yeah, exactly.
This puts a whole different thing to it.
Yeah, you're right. You start to experience the space in between the notes. Right. And you find out the space is actually hipper than the actual note.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So then, to me, I don't hear the flams when everybody's doing it together. You know, it's like
it is clean.
It's right there, and it's like bam, and and it doesn't have to be loud, but it's powerful.
I agree. Wow.
Right.
I agree. So, well, let me ask you this because Branford said something really interesting in an interview. He talked about how jazz is a combination of all these different musics, but he said all based on, he said, the Pentecostal beat. And so I've been investigating that, right? My question to you is, like, what denomination did you grow up with? Did you grow up Baptist? Did you grow up Pentecostal? Did you grow up non-denominational?
Yeah, Baptist for sure. And you know, but those Baptists sometimes they would shout. Yeah. And you know but it was weird because I was the first drummer at my church. Okay. So you know there is a whole lot of implications that come with that. Right. Like I remember, you know, Tane would come to school at one point. You know, the whole Branford's entire band were artist
I
in residence,
remember that. Yeah.
right? So I was listening to Tane one day, and I realized, I was like, man, no one has ever told him, don't play that.
Okay.
Right? Now, I don't know about you, but I've been told don't play that a whole lot.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I can put both hands up for
Yeah.
that one, and
Come on.
both
Yeah.
feet too.
Right. Right. Right.
And there is something that you learn and grow when people tell you, what I want from you is not what you're giving me.
Right.
Right.
Wow.
Right. And it's like, some people, and Tane is one of those players where everything he gives you is right. You didn't even know you wanted it. So, you know, for years I've tried to make sure that I give people what they want, and try to give them what they didn't know they wanted. Right?
That's going the extra mile.
Right.
That's service.
Right.
Yeah.
So growing up in the Baptist church, where we didn't shout all day, but there could be times where shouting did happen. So it was almost like a Baptist-costal or something, you know?
Yeah. I think what you're saying. Yeah, there was a fusion there.
Right.
That's really interesting. I noticed that, and I ain't gonna get this the way tonight. I kind of want to shift gears after I say this, but the reason why I was asking was because African American rhythm is so sophisticated that even the differences in denomination,
Absolutely.
they cause different iterations of that
Yes.
rhythmic thing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And but they're not ready for that, Mr. Taylor. They got to get on Patreon to get that. Yeah. But shifting gears. So next Sunday, are you excited?
No. This Sunday.
This Sunday. Well, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But yeah,
in a few days, you know.
Yeah.
We get to it.
Well, are you excited? Like, are you? All right. You ready? Yeah. Well, there you have it, people. So this Sunday, August 27th,
Yes.
At the Sharp Nine Jazz Gallery in Durham, North Carolina. What does it start at 2? When do the
workshops start at 2:00, and there will be workshops that kind of go concurrently. And it's awesome because, you know, this is year 11 for these for this whole event. Give the Drummer Some.
And the thing we haven't said the name yet. What's the name of the event, sir?
Give the Drummer Some. Right. So, you know, it's like I started this because I didn't want to just do a faculty performance, a faculty recital. I wanted to perform, one, but I wanted to bring alumni back to the campus so that our current students who are struggling and, you know, dealing with whatever they're dealing with can get a different perspective from just me, and give them an example, most importantly, of, oh, this is a person who has success. They were where you are right now. They've been where you are, and they were able to persevere and work, and now they're at this level, and this is what they're doing, you know, and hopefully it inspires our current students to work harder and get that degree and finish. Hopefully we'll bring attention to the, you know, to the community, bring attention to people who may know about North Carolina Central and our jazz program, as well as people who have never heard of North Carolina Central. And, you know, it's still surprising, but it's not surprising that people don't know about North Carolina Central's jazz program and what we're doing and what we have been doing for more than 30 years. Right. And that's because of Dr. Ira Wiggins. And, you know, so it's all about getting that recognition, getting that awareness of what we're doing, as well as hopefully get some students to who want to come study, not just drummers, but, you know, bass players, every instrument, including vocals. We want those all to come and study music at North Carolina Central. And, you know, if you're at the school, but you don't want to be a music major, you can still play in the ensemble.
Yeah.
You know?
That's good. Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, most ensembles at universities are made up of non-music majors anyway. Right? So, we would want people to come and participate, as well as, you know, music fans and jazz fans to support the program financially. You know,
yes.
You can say you love the program, but does your pocket say the same?
Right. Does your pocket prove it?
Right.
Come on. Yeah.
So we you know, we always want, we encourage and accept and appreciate, you know, funds to provide scholarships for students to help the jazz studies program run and happen and function. You know, we've got so many performances where our students are traveling. Right. Our students have been invited to perform at the Montreux Jazz, not Montreux. Oh man, I forget. It's in California, not Montreal, not Montreux.
Got you.
There's another jazz festival there. Yeah,
but these are world class. These are world class festivals at the school. I remember, because I was a student there, I was blessed to perform at the Detroit Jazz Festival.
Right.
Whenever I was playing in Joey's band, I played with Joey at the Newport Jazz Festival, but then I also turned around and played with the North Carolina Central Jazz Ensemble under Dr. Ira Wiggins at the Newport Jazz Festival. Right. So,
yes. Thank you, Krishan. It's a Monterey Jazz Festival.
Monterey. Yeah.
Monterey Jazz Festival in Monterey, California. So we're going to be going, and of course, you know, it takes money to fly the students, you know, from North Carolina to California, put them up in hotels, you know, all of that costs money. And we feel like we are at the same level as all of the big schools that most people know in jazz.
Come on.
You know, but we may not have the same student body numbers, and we may not have the same financial support that they may have. So we'd love for people to come and, you know, drop 50, 60 mil to, you know, help support the program, help give us a new music building. You know, it'd be great to 5 years from now, you know, we got a brand new building somewhere where somebody donated 100 million and we got a new building, you know, and all of that stuff. Those are things that we definitely need. So me creating this Give the Drummer Some is just a drop in the bucket. It's the beginning of all of it.
It's something a lot bigger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry,
well, that's incredible.
Plug, man.
No. We are here to talk about that because, I mean, once again, people, I done told you that he's a pillar in the community. Do y'all see how big, you know, his ideas are? Do y'all see the mindset that he has, you know, to want to help people? Because this is a service type mindset. He's not doing this for himself. Right. And that's why I'm so honored, you know, to be working with you. Thank you. Because the education I got at North Carolina Central, it's been a blessing. Like it's changed my life. There were things that I learned from you. I learned from I call them Dr. Trowers. Things I learned from my big brother, rest in peace, Brian Horton. Incredible things I learned from now Dr. Lenora Hammonds. You know, I appreciate the education I got from Dr. Bailey. I loved research methods with Dr. Bailey. That class was incredible. Yes. And Mr. Timeless, Mr. George. We were talking about Mr. George the other day.
Man, he was the secret weapon, man. Come on. Mr. George, he was my favorite piano player because that brother could comp behind you and make it feel like this beautiful cloud of chords. That, you know, he always played the right stuff at the right time. And it was always tasty and swinging and soulful, you know?
That's what it is. You're right. You know, Mr. George was a brilliant musician. I remember the huge nugget of wisdom he gave me I asked Dr. Wiggins one time for an arranging assignment. I was like, Dr. Wiggins, who do I need to check out to deal with three-part harmony? He said, we'll talk with Mr. George. So I go, I go talk to Mr. George. I was like, Mr. George, Doc sent me to you. He said, you need to ask him about three-part harmony. And Mr. George turned around and like his eyes got big. And he told me, he said, if you want to learn how to write masterful three-part harmony, check out Kirk Franklin. He said, Kirk Franklin is the coldest guy when it comes to manipulating the three-part harmony. And jazz students who are watching this, I want you to peep game. He didn't tell me to check out Thad Jones.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't tell me to check out Billy Strayhorn. He didn't tell me to check out Stravinsky. He told me to check out Kirk Franklin. That's huge, and I did. And I remember Doc would always compliment you in sometimes the most subtle ways. So I hand in my sax soli, right, after I done dealt with this. And so he comes back and on my voice leading, he says, I see you applied Mr. George's advice. You know? Yeah, it's like, thanks, Doc. Like, yeah, I did, you know? Yeah, that experience has like enriched my personal educational experience. Like I know that much more about Black music and gospel music and triads.
Yeah.
Because of the education I learned there. And last and certainly but not least, Dr. Ira Wiggins.
Yes.
Like Dr. Ira Wiggins, he is the founder of this program. And so the things that he's been able to do to really make Durham a hub for the world, and then also carve out a world-class space in the HBCU vibe.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I like what you said the other night. I watched an interview of yours, wink, wink. And one of the things that you were saying that was incredible was you made the analogy of winning the Jack Rudin competition with winning the NCAA championship. Would you break that down? Because people, like what you said earlier, people really don't get how incredible Central is.
Yeah. So, you know, first, I will just go on the record. And Dr. Wiggins was not the first director of the jazz program. So it started in the 70s. But yes, Dr. Wiggins, when he came, he changed the game. You know, kind of like Jordan, right? Yeah. Jordan came to basketball. He changed the game. That's a whole nother argument. I ain't going to go down there. But, you know, he changed the game. Dr. Wiggins took it to another level. And, you know, he did a lot of great things over 30 plus years. And it got us to the point where our jazz ensemble was invited to this invitation only jazz competition. So you could equate it to, or I equate it to, being invited to the NCAA basketball tournament, you know, where you got 64 teams. Well, at Jack Rudin, there's 10. So think that there's a lot of jazz programs around the country. There's more than 10 in the state of North Carolina. Right. Okay.
So you're right. This is the apex.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, okay, let's just say you get invited to the Sweet 16. Let's just call it that. Right. So what happens when you win? You advance, and you win again, and you advance. And at some point, the winner, you know, if you don't lose, then you're the winner. So we were chosen the winner. We are the reigning champions this year for 2023 for that jazz competition. And we went up against, you know, the other universities that were invited. We didn't go up against, but the other universities that performed were Michigan State, Temple, Florida State was there. I'm forgetting others, and I remember those because those were some of the finalists that came in second and third place, right? So, hey, but if you want to see, if you want to see the other bands and see, and you know, it was a judging competition, so it's people's opinions.
Right.
So I appreciated Mr. Robert Trower said it best. He said, on this day, in this week, in this month of this year, some people considered us to be the best choice for what they were looking for. And
yeah, the humility, yeah.
That's the reality, because if you had different people judging, or different bands played on a different day, you know, maybe it was different. Maybe we weren't chose the champions. Maybe we were chose second or third. So we appreciate it. We are very thankful that they decided that what we played was what they were looking for. And but you know, we have that as something that nobody can take away, that we are the champions of 2023.
Come on. That's awesome. Yeah.
So, you know, it's all about having an understanding of what jazz is for us and for me, and what it is for Dr. Wiggins, which is you have to come with a certain amount of respect for the tradition of what people did before us.
Come on.
You know, and if you think about the music that you listen to and love, it has a certain energy, it has a certain synergy, it has a certain soul. And that's what we're trying to get our students to do. That's what we tried to get. That you did a great job of getting that into part of your playing. And, you know, that's what we want for all of our students.
Well, that's incredible. I'm really excited because once again, the institution is being of great service to the community.
Right.
I encourage everybody of your playing ability. Trust me, you are going to learn something at these clinics. So you got the workshops happening, and then you have special guest Herlin Riley.
Yes.
Who's going to be performing after the student performers,
yes.
Right?
Well, yeah, the alumni performers, yeah.
Yeah, exactly,
so, yeah. So we have workshops that'll happen from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and Herlin will give a workshop at 4 o'clock. So he's going to give a 50 to 55-minute workshop. You do not want to miss that. You do not want to miss that workshop. Now, you know, Q, I know you're going to do a workshop, and I don't want to miss that one either. Y'all don't want to miss Q's. Right. There's going to be a lot of great workshops, a lot of great information. But, you know,
Herlin Riley. Yeah.
Grooving with the Groove Master is the name of his workshop.
Wow.
So, you know, it's like, yes, there it is right there. You don't need to say anything else.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, Mr. Taylor, I thoroughly appreciate you doing this. As usual, you know, you blessed me with a bunch of wisdom. You blessed the people watching. Everybody, you've seen the flyer. We're going to post it again this Sunday, August 27th, the Sharp 9 Jazz Gallery or the Durham Jazz Workshop.
Yep.
Isn't there, we're going to have the link for the tickets.
Yes.
They can purchase tickets now, right, on the website.
Yeah, you want to get tickets now. There's tickets for the workshops, so that are $25 for the workshops, and the concert is $40, and you can get a discount if you buy both, if you decide you want to spend all day with us. And it's one of those things where if you spend all day, you're going to really be thankful, because there's going to be so much music, so much information, as well as swag. There's, you know, things that you can take home, some free things and some other things that you can also purchase. Again, remember, we're trying to raise money for the Jazz Studies program. You know, that's the whole purpose of it. So don't think that, you know, all this money and it goes to somebody else. Like Sharp 9 has graciously agreed that all the proceeds will come to the Jazz Studies program. And if you want to donate directly to the Jazz Studies program, you can just go to NCCU's website, nccu.edu. And when you get there, click on Giving, and that'll take you to another website or another page that you can give as much as you want. And if you search for Jazz Studies or Dr. Ira and Joyce Wiggins Endowed Scholarship. You can give money, and that money will go directly to our jazz study students and music students and operational budget for the jazz program.
Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. So with that said, we're about to sign off.
Man, I thought it was going to be longer, bro. I
really?
wanted to get your opinion about like the session and what you're dealing with, and you know, all of that stuff.
Well, that's the thing. See, I called myself not holding you too long. If you got a couple more minutes, we can chat, because this is the podcast, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So you said you had a question about your session? That you did?
How did you feel about the session and what was happening, as well as how is your going from right hand playing, right hand lead, to left hand lead? What's happening there? How are you feeling about your transformation? Because you was dealing with it. It sounded great. I didn't feel like I heard any issues. But how are you feeling about it?
I dig. Well, for the people watching, right, you're doing a jam session at the same place, the Durham Jazz Workshop, and that's going to be like the third Thursday
of each,
the third Tuesday of every month.
Yeah. So the next one is September 19th, and the music is Thelonious Monk, another North Carolina native.
Word. So I'm gonna be shedding. I'm gonna be working on it. And this is incredible, people, because like I said, you know, with him being one of the pillars in our community for North Carolina jazz, like this is a session you need to be at, because it's it's unlike anything any session you've been to, because the first thing I appreciated, Mr. Taylor, was how you, after each song, there was a discussion, you know?
Right.
And the reason why I appreciated it so much was not only for the creative edification of like the musicians, but also of the audience. I really dug that, because I began to think, I'm like, man, there are people that come to live jazz performances, but they aren't able to get inside the artist's mind. And the brilliance in you having, like, the house band was yourself, Jason Foreman, Ernest Turner.
Yes.
And then you will bring it up, you know, students of yours, you know, drummers out in the community.
Right.
And the fact that you got people that you knew could articulate things on that university level, I thought was incredible. Like, I've been to all of the different sessions at the different schools.
Right.
And once again, we didn't have a symposium in the middle of the session. You know what I mean? Like, so shout out to you for having a panel discussion while cats are dealing, because that can answer what it is that people are able to learn in real time. Like, you know, you might have a question. Okay, now I'm flipping back over to the musician side.
Right.
You may have a question that you want to ask a cat all the time. And sometimes, you know, like younger musicians, like they're afraid to talk to people. Sometimes musicians are so arrogant that you can't talk to them. So the fact that you created a space where everybody could ask questions and there could be intelligent dialogue was incredible. I felt like that was part of the music.
Absolutely.
You know, to be honest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So and I love how one of the ladies asked a question about ego and arrogance. That was perfect, man. You know, and it's like, and that whole conversation is like, and I wonder if it, I don't want to say it, but I'll say it this way: if it colored their opinion of certain people that they hear, because it's like, oh yeah, I can tell that person's very arrogant. Oh, that person's not. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
But I don't know if that's a, you know, I think it's a positive, but I just thought it was definitely a great thing. But I wanted to find out more about you playing left hand ride cymbal, right hand snare drum.
Okay.
And that kind of whole transformation. Do you feel like, oh yeah, man, why did I wait so long? Or you're just ambidextrous and it doesn't matter. Like, how you play on the right side is the same as how you play on the left side.
Well, Okay. The answer is it's actually both of those. When we talk about like just keeping it real with myself and my artistry, it's the first thing you mentioned. It's just like, man, I should have done this years ago, right? And then when you deal with the like the boldness, which sometimes boldness can be mistaken as arrogance or pride, but like it's like, okay, the difference between boldness and pride is like, okay, pride is you being so puffed up about the truth about yourself that you don't consider others. You don't use your greatness to help others.
Right.
But conversely, when you're being bold about it, all that it is, boldness is humility on steroids.
Right.
It's like you're just, because humility is agreeing with the truth. So boldness is just like, I'm just going to agree with the truth really loud, so that it gets off on other people and they get excited too.
Right.
So saying that to say, where I can be bold is like I haven't abandoned the right side thing. What it is that God's blessed me with the clarity to understand which one is used for. I remember whenever I was reading the Duke Ellington autobiography, he said that he didn't see limitations as weaknesses, but rather limitations as opportunities for creativity. And when I read that, I was like, yo, that's crazy, because I was thinking about it initially just like in the socio-political, socio-economic climate and mindset that Black people in that generation had. Duke Ellington was born in 1897. Right. So them Black people were strong, and their sense of resilience and never giving up is just way stronger than this group of Negroes.
Yeah.
but that's a whole nother conversation. But the thing I took from that though, as one of those Negroes, right, knowing that I'm in this generation and I'm subjected to those weaknesses, I'm like, wait a second, let me grab this and no longer see my weak hand as a weak hand, but rather an opportunity to be creative.
Yes.
And whenever that hit me, I was like, oh, so now, God, I understand why you even had me playing on the right side of the kit. That's a whole voice all to itself.
Yes.
But where I'm at though, over here, now playing on the left side, is just the humility of, bro, yeah, you may be able to dance over there, but you left-handed. Like, stop playing. You are left-handed. And when it comes to one of the things that made me get serious about my dominant hand and leading with it is because that's where there is instant and discernible forward motion in my playing.
Right.
Whereas the right, my weak hand, it's almost like a dominant and a subdominant relationship, like in harmony.
Yeah.
It's like you.
I was just going to say that I don't refer to my left hand as my weak hand. I just say it as my non-dominant hand, but I like subdominant as well, right? Because there are strengths there. It just may not have the same facility that my dominant hand, and most importantly, the thought process of my non-dominant hand is where the issue is. Because, I mean, I am not a lefty, but I've spent a little bit of time trying to get it together. And the goal is think the same thing.
Well, see, that I remember you told me that when I was in the grad program, and I didn't say it then because I wanted to test this theory for a while, and I'm very excited to say it to you now. How did you phrase that thing again? What you just said?
Think about the same thing, regardless if that's right hand lead means I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So when I do this, but for a long time, it not that it's there, because it's not, but it used to be, and then it'd be a kink,
plankety plank. Yeah, that's what we call it. Yeah, that plank. Yeah.
Right.
I dig. Well,
So
We're
are you
saying
thinking
the
the
same
same?
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I say to that is the same thing, but a different way of looking at it, right? Which is, okay, my left hand, excuse me, my right hand is not going to do what my left hand does because it ain't my left hand. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so I need to find out, okay, it's kind of like what what all of the drummers say, like Max, Elvin, Tony, about independence. And they would correct cats whenever they would say that. They'd be like, no, the word you're looking for is not rhythmic independence, it's rhythmic coordination. Right. All of these things are working together. It's right. Like one is leading. And when you talk about that structure and that hierarchy, getting back to even that terminology, dominant and subdominant, it's like, I don't want my right hand to be able to do everything that my left hand can do, right? Because it wasn't created to do that. I want to explore how my right hand, in this context, was created to serve and support my dominant hand. And in the process of doing that, it's going to lead sometimes. Because in order for the melody that my lead hand is doing, is going to have to give that,
right?
It's going to have to give room for that voice. And so getting back to the Duke Ellington thing, by me approaching it like that, it's made me less pessimistic about my failure to execute that. Because what I just described was the utopian thing, but then we also got reality when it ain't happening. Exactly. So it's like, that's what I hold on to whenever it ain't happening. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's the impetus behind it. It's like trying to explore this this space where I've really been digging into two. Like you mentioned the boom chick rhythm, and you said the boom chat rhythm because you said you were hearing the hi-hat, the snare, and the hand claps. Like I've been exploring just one and two. Like that's just been my focus for a minute. And as a result of focusing on that, it's made me get more serious about what I've been naturally given between my lead and my dominant, my subdominant, my weak, or my strong and my weak. Right. I've been exploring that duality. You know what I mean? So yeah. Yeah. And I took the challenge that you gave me. I've been chatting with the bass drum on my left foot and the sock on my right. Yeah, I've been messing around with that, and yeah. I ain't gonna front. I dig it. Like I really like it. Like it's you said earlier about how it makes you think, the thought process behind each limb. Right. I've been really experiencing that more in my feet because I've trained this right foot even whenever I'm not near a drum set. My right foot goes boom boom. My left foot goes chick chick. Yeah. So to take those rhythms and to hear that melody. And then play that limb, and it ain't playing that. Yeah. The instant humility that you get when what you heard ain't come out. I've been loving it. I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm dealing with, when I go to the left side, I'm dealing with sound, the tone, because the tone when I'm over here has a certain sound, which maybe means that my right hand is a little bit thicker and more developed than my left hand. So the tone of the stick and the tone of the cymbal or the tone of the drum sounds different. And I'm trying to deal with, I want the same sound. To a certain degree, I have the same thought, but I don't have the same sound. And the same tone. You know, so it's like, okay, maybe it's because the angle of my stick on the hi-hat or the angle of my stick on the cymbal or the drum. So it's like, okay, let me alter that. And, you know, I'm talking about match grip, right? So because traditional grip is a whole different thing. You know, that's all bets are off with that. But match grip, you're holding your hands the same way. So there could be some similarities. So I'm trying to deal with that whole concept of getting the same tone and the same sound, not just the same thought process. So
that's killing. That's killing. That's the same sound, different hands, but the same sound.
Right.
That's slick. That's
Which
slick.
is hard. It doesn't sound like it's difficult until you
Mm-hmm.
try it and
Yeah,
you really pay attention to what it sounds
mm-hmm.
like. When you play dominant, whatever, normal way that you do it, and then when you switch, how does it sound and feel different? The tone of whatever.
Well, let's go deeper, because obviously, you know, drummers are watching this and they're hearing this, and this is answering a lot of people's questions, right? Tangibly speaking, like the first exercise that really helped clarify things for me with any type of, well, I'm gonna be honest with you, the ambidextrous thing came to me by accident, right? I was sharing this a little bit of this the other night. I thought everybody was left-handed when I was a little kid,
Right?
And so as a result, my sonic imagination said to me, it was really the Holy Ghost, was like, okay, the lead voice is the snare, and so if you're playing the important part, it's almost like Terrence Crawford, who's the two-time undisputed world champion in 2 weight divisions.
Right.
He is a right-handed boxer, but he boxes southpaw with his right hand jabbing.
Right.
It's on, and so like that's the way that like I look at it. And to have the lead voice in your dominant hand, it gives you what's interesting is I've met a lot of drummers that aren't classically trained, and I always, because I was self-taught for so long, I always look to see which hand has the strongest diddle, because to me that gives a huge indication of how they stick things, right? Even whenever they learn rudiments, it's like that base of, okay, I'm going to play, if they play paratriplets, left, right, right, or right, left, left, or you get some right-handed drummers, their diddle with their left hand is some trash, so they do all of their diddles with their right hand. And I've always respected that approach, because to me that's ingenuity, that you are not, because one cat that's taking it to like the highest level, in my personal opinion, is Dennis Chambers. Because Dennis, one of the things, but Dennis is, okay, when you watch him play with his left hand on the hi-hat, it's a whole nother voice. He's actually using the what would be considered the weakness. And whenever I say weakness in this context, I just mean he's playing all the syncopated notes. He doesn't change the sticking that he would play with his right hand on the hi-hat. He's literally playing eighth notes on the snare, but he's taught us all something that's powerful, which is you can play eighth notes, but you can even ghost downbeats. Like that's what the texture you end up getting when he puts his left hand on the hi-hat. And so saying that to say, because I'm sorry, man, you got me really excited about this ambidextrous thing. Yeah, man, it's what my question was. What are some of the exercises that you dealt with in order to get your ambidexterity going? Did you do 8 on a hand? Did you do the accent pattern? Did you just do everything you learned?
Well, still doing it. Still working on it, because I don't have it together. Let's start with that first of all. Let's deal with that.
Well, you got to sound like you got it. Like you.
Let's just put that out there first. I don't have it together. I'm still working on it. But you know, there's been many things, man. Like between, you know, starting with something like stick control, that I thought it was good, and it was definitely helpful for a moment, to like the rudimental ritual, trying to deal with that. And you know, it's funny, man, because I've started over the summer. I wrote a book, so prayerfully that will come out at some point soon. But what I was dealing with is teaching kids how to play roles. That's where it started. Right? So and it probably even started because at 15 years old, Jason Marsalis taught me how to play a second line groove, and it took me about probably 3 months to not sound horrible. And what it taught me was I don't know how to play rolls. My hands aren't even. My time sucks.
Mm. Yeah,
And
it was, the
so on and
music
so on and
revealed
so on.
all of
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was like all of these things. So it was just like, okay, can I get my hands to bounce the same? And it was a resounding no. And
Mm-hmm.
so then it was like, why can't my hands bounce the same?
Mm-hmm.
His bounce the same. Max's bounce the same. Art Blakey's bounce the same. Buddy Rich's
Right.
bounce the same. Tony Williams bounce the same. Dennis Chambers bounce the same. What's wrong with me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because at one point, you know, maybe some of it was ego. It's like, I'm a dude. I'm just like them.
Right.
Yeah, nah.
Right.
You know,
Well,
but
I did what you're saying. It's like, yo, I'm a human being. Like, they weren't always at that level.
right.
So let me figure out my process in order to. No, you making perfect sense to me.
So, you know, it's like just being able to make the hands be the same or as close to the same as possible is where it all started, you know. And I remember one night, you know, I used to teach at these Jamie Aebersold summer jazz camps, you know.
Shout out to
and you know, that was a great thing. It was a really fortunate thing for me. I feel very blessed to have done that. And, you know, I would go and I would be, you know, playing with James Williams on piano and, you know, Rufus Reed and, you know, Eric Alexander or, you know, cats like that, man. Like, I got a video. I found it as I was cleaning out my little space with me with Clark Terry. I was like, yo, yeah, man, I played with Clark Terry. And there's video. Awesome. You know, I didn't sound good, but I still play with Clark Terry, you know. Yeah, you know. But, I mean, the whole point is just like I had these opportunities where I got to play with cats who were really at the highest level, some of the greatest players ever to play this music we call jazz. You know, I got an opportunity to be in the room with some of them, be on the same stage with some of them and play with them. And, you know, it taught me a lot. So, you know, come back home to North Carolina, sometimes cats didn't always have the same drive. They didn't have the same passion about playing at a high level.
Right. Come on.
So, you know, I'm sitting on a gig complaining to myself about how boring this is and how these cats don't have it together. And, you know, God was like, oh, you think you're so great? Let's hear you play with, you know, play with your left hand.
Right.
All of a sudden, a brother woke up. I was like, oh, I cannot do this. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, it's like even though some parts of the hand were similar, not the same, but they were similar, but the thought process was totally different. The control and the independence was totally different.
There you go.
Right?
There you go.
So it's like all of these things kind of came together for that. But if you think about getting people to play roles, most people's bounces when they do a roll, not even a diddle, but making the stick bounce. When you're bouncing, most people don't bounce the same. Their dominant hand bounces one way and their non-dominant hand or subdominant hand bounces a different way. So you got this happening. So most people's rolls,
the ratios are different.
Yeah, they have a pulse to it. And, you know, the cats who got grilled clean rolls, both of them are the same.
Yeah.
Right.
That's huge. That was, listen, y'all, that he just gave y'all $1 million, all the drummers watching. That was $1 million worth of game right there. That was incredible.
Yeah. So hopefully that, you know, prayerfully this book will come out soon and people can pick it up. And yeah, if you come to on Sunday, you might get a little sample, get a little snippet of it, you know. So we'll see.
I dig. Well, Mr. Taylor, y'all, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is the type of wisdom that, you know, that I've been privy to away from everybody, right? But we've been able to broadcast to y'all tonight. So definitely mark the event down. You need to follow Mr. Taylor at Thomas Drum up here on Instagram so that you can keep up with like his posts, like different things that he's doing. Don't you got the website too, like Thomas Taylor Drum?
Yeah, just thomasdrum.com.
Boom.
Yeah.
thomasdrum.com. Check him out. Because as you can see, he's a wealth of knowledge. Hey, as y'all see, I'm still blessed to be in a position to be able to pick his brain. Y'all need to hit him up for lessons. Listen, I appreciate Thomas because me and Orlando were talking about this the other day. You just ain't giving cats, you just ain't giving people like a fish sandwich. You know what I'm saying? Like if they hungry.
Right.
You literally are giving cats fish and poles.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And a box of tackle. and you like, hey, come on. Like you want to learn how to fish? All right, cool. And that's literally what it's like going out, like that's what lessons are like with you. You know what I'm saying? It's like we just saying it's, you know, obviously it's your boat, you know what I'm saying? And, we're going out on the water, this lake that you know about.
Right.
But you're going out there with your students and they got their fishing rod as well. And you're really helping to clarify stuff for a lot of people. Like I really hope y'all caught that nugget. He gave you the visual representation. Like do your role sound like this? Like is your dominant hand like this? And is your weak hand like this when it comes to your buzz strokes? Or is it the inverse? Is your weak hand, your buzz strokes strong, and then your dominant hand, your buzzes are very weak? These are the type of questions that we got to ask ourselves if we're really serious about getting better, because it's those nuances. That's the stuff that separates the men from the boys.
That's what gets you hired.
There you go.
Especially if you're listening and you support the music. You know, some people, you know, they're chopping out and they want to sound great, and they sound great, but are you going to get hired? You know.
See, that's the father in you right now. Yeah, yeah. No. Let it go. Let it fly. Because that's it's all that is just the pride of youth. That's all. Because like that's what God used Central and especially Dr. Wiggins to whoop out of me. You know what I'm saying? Whenever I came to Central, you know, like I was big headed. I was very arrogant,
right.
And I thought I was a hot shot. And Dr. Wiggins was like, you ain't a hot shot in here. You ain't a hot shot in here. You know, he's like, yo, hot shot, if anything, that we use that to kill bugs. You know what I'm saying? And it was that type, no, for real, it's like that. It was that type of pressure that straightens you up and makes you be like, okay, he is right. Like I do have these weaknesses. And then the same time I'm getting that type of pressure, you don't know how many times Dr. Wiggins would correct me for something in big band, and then I would talk to you the same week. It wouldn't even have to be during my lesson time. Right. But whatever you said to me in passing was the nugget of wisdom that I needed to do what Doc wanted me to do, because he wasn't, listen, y'all got to understand, the love of a father is different than the love of a mother. The love of a father is through correction. He just going to just keep it funky with you. And you got to be man enough. You got to be, when we say man enough, we don't mean toxic masculinity. We just mean you got to be mature enough to hear the truth about yourself and change. Like, that's right. It. And one nugget of wisdom that you gave me that was incredible was, I remember Doc, it was like a slower, bassy type tune. Right. And that's another thing. If you play bassy music, you gotta be patient. Yeah. And I lacked patience in my youth because of the pride, right? Yeah. And I remember Doc kicked me off the drums, put Theus on the drums, right, to really humble me, right? Here I am, I'm the grad student, he undergrad. And then later on that week, we got together, and that's when you gave me that analogy that changed my life. You said, you gave me the analogy of a Ferrari and a school bus. And you said to me, you was like, yeah, man, you knew I was full of pride, so you was like, yeah, man, you a Ferrari, you know? And you was like, yeah, that's cool that you could be a Ferrari, but my question to you is, can you be a bus? Can you be a big old yellow school bus? He was like, and then he told me what he meant. He was like, the problem that you're having, because I was like, man, I'm just not doing right in big band. You said the problem is that you have to drive a big band like a bus. Remember, it's 15 people. Right. It's a big ensemble. So you can't be bending corners in a bus. You didn't say it like that, but that's how I'm going to say it. You can't be bending corners in a bus. You're going to hurt somebody. Now, in a Ferrari, you can ping, ping, ping. Like Ricochet Rabbit. But when you're in a driver's seat of a bus, you have to be way more careful. And what was so beautiful was Doc, I don't know if it was that semester or if it was another semester, but he came back and he added to what you gave to me. I was playing with the vocal ensemble and it was a rhythm changes.
Right.
And I used to like to dance at them up tempos, you know. And so he said to me, he pulled me over, he said, you like to dance. And he said, that's good. He said, but establish the time first. He said, and here's how he said it. It was almost like he gave me like a bet. He was like, just establish, or a wager. He was like, establish the time just throughout the head. But then when you get to the solos, then you can start to dance.
Right.
Right after he said that to me, Dr. Hammonds goes, yeah, we're about to run the tune, da-da-da-da-da. And when he said it, it was like something unlocked in my brain. It's so simple, right? But that's what pride do. Pride blinds you to obvious things.
Absolutely.
I got on the drums. I just played the head. I forget the name of that rhythm changes that the vocal ensemble would sing. It has something. It's something celestial, Cloudburst. There it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I chilled out and I just, you know, just really played straight time. And then when we got to the solos, because this is when Hanseller was there.
Right.
And that was me and Hanseller's thing. Joey said we were like two kids running with scissors. Big that metaphor. Like, but yeah, it added a depth and a dimension to the music that wasn't there before. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's the type of stuff that you're gonna learn at Central that I'm not saying that you can't get other places, but you're not gonna get. See, what Dr. Wiggins has established and taken to the next level, and what Dr. Taylor, what Mr. Taylor's a part of, is an environment where you as a creative person, you're gonna get fed. I remember Doc said that on a recruitment tour to one of the students. He said, "If you're hungry, we're gonna feed you."
Right.
And so I appreciate you so much, Mr. Taylor. Like for real. I appreciate North Carolina Central so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. I really do. Thank you. Absolutely.
I dig. Well, man, I ain't gonna hold you. Like this time, I'm gonna really let you go.
Okay.
But man, I appreciate the wisdom that you shared tonight. Everybody, you already know what time it is. You need to be there Sunday so you can get these hands, so you can learn. All right? So I'll be talking to you a little bit later. Everybody have a good night.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.